I want to talk about a concept called the 4 phases of learning. Now that's a process that your brain goes through when it's learning or acquiring new information. Now, what's going to happen anytime you're learning something new? You're going to go through a series of natural phases. Phase 1, that's called unconscious incompetence. It means you don't even know that you don't know. All the way to a state of mastery, which is known as unconscious competence. That's when a concept has become internalized. That's when it's part of you. For example, I don't, think about tying my shoes. I just do it. I don't have to consciously sit there and think about putting one lace through the other and making a bow. I just do it. For example, at one point in your life, you didn't even know what soaps were. And if you saw someone grinding, you probably thought, how is he doing that? And then you ask, did you put soap on the bottom of your shoes? Or you think, did you forget your skateboard? That's the first phase. And that's called unconscious incompetence. It means you don't even know that you don't know. Now when I first started soaping, I had to consciously think like, okay, I'm going to walk up here, I'm going to jump on, I'm going to slide, I got to dismount. But after so many years of repetition, for example, if I wanted to go do a royale, boom. It just happens. I don't think about it. So I'm going to take you through this process right now. Do you guys remember drawing Punnett squares? Probably around the 4th grade. Okay, 4 phases. This is going to be phase 1. This is going to be phase 2. This will be phase 3, and finally phase 4. Now, let's start here. Again, this is called unconscious incompetence. Okay. Let's go back to when you were a baby. Okay. You probably don't remember the first time that you put on baby shoes because you didn't put them on. Your parents put them on you. Okay, they put the shoes on, little baby booties, they tied them, And about the time that you were, until the time you were 2 to 3, you were oblivious to the concept of even wearing shoes, or that shoes even had laces. Okay, you were unconscious and you were incompetent of the concept of tying your shoes. Now when you were about 2, 3 years old, your parents probably sat you down and said, you're going to learn how to tie your own shoes. You probably started freaking out as you're looking at this shoe and you see these laces and I don't know what to do. What am I even looking at? But at that point, you then became conscious that 1, there was a thing such as laces, and 2, that there is a concept of tying your shoes. Okay? So what happened is you became consciously incompetent. Okay? So phase 2 is conscious incompetence. I now know, but I can't do it yet. Conscious incompetence. Okay. So now, what happens is I'm moving to phase 3. Okay. This phase is called conscious competence. Okay? I can, with a consciously applied effort, now tie my shoes. It means I can sit down and I'm starting to learn it because I've been using repetition. Okay? Remember here, I was conscious of it, but I was incompetent, so I couldn't do it myself. But now that I'm consciously competent, I can sit down and I can focus and say, okay, this lace, this right lace goes over this lace, pull it through, I make a bow, I tie it around, I pull the bow, I got it, I got it. Now you don't actually get it yet, but you're getting it, okay? So what happens here, after so much repetition, okay, after you've possibly observed someone else doing it a bunch of times, after you've done it yourself hundreds of times, you start to actually internalize it. It starts to become a part of you. And you finally move into the fourth stage, which is unconscious competence. Okay, this means I do it without thinking. Boom, it just happens. I don't have to think about tying my shoe. I just do it. Okay, my shoe's undone, I bend down, I tie my shoe. I don't have to think consciously which lace goes over which. The unconscious competence. So what's happening right here, as you're going through this process, your brain is creating new neurons. They're called dendrites. Okay? Now it takes roughly 20 days to create a new pattern in your brain. There's always a gestation period, right? You know, like it takes 9 months for a baby to be born, from the time it's conceived all the way till its birth. Okay? If I plant an apple seed in the ground today, it's going to take a little time to develop until it's actually an apple tree. It could take years. Right? Now let's take a royale, for example. Okay? Let's imagine this bubble is a neuron in your brain. Now the first time you heard about a royale, probably like, oh, okay, so I have to bend my feet in a weird, funky position. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. Well, when you became conscious of the concept of a royale, your brain actually created a new neuron. It actually became part of you. And at that point, if I asked you, what do you think about royale? Well, you'd be like, you would. There's nothing else connected to it. All you would really know is, well, it's that stance. Now in time, these dendrites, these neurons, are going to connect to each other. See, there's other elements of the royale. There's, for example, the approach. Okay, that's part of it. Your brain is actually recording this information. What else is there? There's the stance. Okay? There's the way that I tweak my foot. Okay, so there's muscle memory. Right? Your brain is recording all of these, and as I go through the process, as I do royales, starting with stalls, moving onto curbs, ledges, planters, handrails, I'm doing it over and over. My brain is taking all this in, and this pattern is becoming thick. All of these neurons and dendrites keep developing, and this is getting thicker, thicker, thicker. Okay. And as time goes by, and you get to a state of mastery, an unconscious competence, that's when soaping becomes really fun, because I don't have to think about the trick. I can just move through the world, boom, and it just happens. If I'm in a sesh, I don't have to think, I think I'll royal this rail. So I'm going to have to approach. I'm going to have to calculate the velocity and the trajectory of my approach. Okay, I'm going to do it like this. I'll do a 45. Let me jump on. I'm going to hold my balance. Oh shit. None of that goes on. It just happens. Boom. I see a rail. I want to royale it. I jump on it. It just happens. I've landed the trick before I've even thought about it. Now, when you can move through the world like that, okay, in a state of meta soap, you know, when I'm in a higher state of soaping consciousness, when everything around me I see is grindable, and I'm in a state of unconscious competence, and I can just walk around and boom, I want to hit that obstacle, I do it. I see this obstacle, boom, do it. Now, we talked about repetition. I can do something over and over and over and over and over again, and I can burn those neurons into my brain. I can burn that royale. It's like it's a program that I'm installing on the operating system of my mind. I can do it over and over and over and over and over, and finally it will just become part of me. Now, there's another way you can do this, and this is called emulation. This is where I watch someone else do it. It's better if it's in person, but if all you've got is a soap video, then sit down and watch 2 over and over and over, you know, until your DVD player burns out. I had the express privilege of actually getting to soap with all of these pros for years. You know, I went out with, for example, before soaping, when I was rollerblading, and I was kicking it with Eddie Ramirez, who's also on the soap team. You know, he actually taught me how to fish brain. At first, I was like, oh my god, like I gotta grind the rail with my leg, you know, boned out. How am I gonna do that? But hanging out with him, we were used to skate this church rail, and he would be like, he would just do it. He was just doing it. And I was like, fuck, man, I gotta step up my game if I'm gonna hang with this motherfucker. Like, I can't be doing just royales and backslides. I gotta start, you know, I gotta step up my game right here. So, and I would watch him do it, and I would see the way that he would approach. So I try to do it again, you know, the same way. And I'd eat shit, you know, it would happen. But then I watch him do it on that rail. I'd watch the way he did it on a ledge. I'd ask him questions. I'd be like, well, how do you jump on there, you know? And he'd say, well, you got to do this, and you have to turn your body like in a certain way. And just seeing him doing it and starting to emulate it, I was able to, just within a very short time, soon be doing fish brains myself. Again, I started just on curbs, trying to do little stalls. I moved up to ledges, and pretty soon I was fish braining 25-step handrails. Alright guys, so when you really are able to understand this concept, you're going to be able to leverage it to your advantage. Meaning that now that you're aware of this concept and the way that your brain absorbs information and processes it, you can actually use that so that you can absorb and integrate information faster and more accurately. And that's really going to help you guys out on the streets. Just keep applying this technique to every trick that you do, whether it's a front side, whether it's a fucking 270 paydo, it doesn't matter what it is, every single trick is going to be processed the same way. So just understand that when you're learning something new, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be able to jump on the handrail and do it all in one day. It's a process. It takes time. Your muscles have to adapt. And your brain is actually rewiring itself for success. So just get out there and keep practicing. Okay? Repetition, repetition, repetition. And just while we're on that, I want you to remember one thing. Practice doesn't make perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect, okay? If you're just half-assing it on the streets and you're doing the trick half-ass, your brain is going to record your bad performance. Does that make sense? So if you're going to do anything, do it right. Do it as, to the best of your ability. And in time, that's the program that your brain is going to record. Okay? So every trick, man up, balls out, and grind it. And grind it and stay on it all the way to the end. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next one.